Tong loved to laugh and smile. Her smile would curve her eyes into crescents, revealing neat, white teeth and a hint of pale pink gums. She could piece together her daily experiences and stories to lead the evening conversations effortlessly. At 5:35 in the evening, Tong arrived home. She tossed her small handbag onto the hallway cabinet, the metal chain clinking as it landed. She bent down to take off her shoes and lazily called out, "Who's home?" No one answered, but a head covered in foam peeked out from the bathroom door. Lin Peng, bent over, was scrubbing the foam in her hair. The hem of her sweatshirt was tied in a knot at her waist, exposing a section of skin. The green sweatpants barely covered her hips, showcasing her long, well-proportioned legs. Tong shuffled towards the living room, untying her scarf and tossing her coat onto the sofa before throwing herself onto it. She called out towards the bathroom, "Peng Peng, why are you washing your hair at this hour? Are you going out?" Only the sound of running water responded. After a while, Tong got up and went to the kitchen. When she returned, she leaned against the bathroom door with a cup of water, watching Lin Peng wrap her wet hair in a towel through the mirror. Got a date. Lin Peng's skin wasn't fair, but it was tight and smooth, with deep black eyes that exuded a certain sharp charm. She glanced at Tong through the mirror and smiled. "Is washing your hair enough for a date? Shouldn't I take a shower too?" Tong laughed along. "You can shower at the hotel, save time and enjoy together." The two women joked endlessly. Lin Peng played along. "Time is precious at night. Better to shower here and go straight to the point." "Oh, please. If you had such a mindset, you wouldn't be living with a bunch of women. Are they not coming back for dinner tonight?" "Probably not," Lin Peng replied offhandedly, patting toner onto her face with a loud slap. "What should we have for dinner?" Tong spread her hands. "I don't feel like cooking today, what about you?" "Me neither." Lin Peng squinted her eyes with a smile, her hands smelling of a mix of shampoo and skincare products as she patted Tong's face. "Let's eat out, my treat." Tong and Lin Peng were high school classmates, former roommates, and now close housemates, though they didn't share everything with each other. For instance, when Tong tried to dig out some stories from Lin Peng's gynecology clinic, Lin Peng would shut her mouth tighter than a clam. Lin Peng was a gynecologist at a very expensive private hospital, and her patients often had intriguing stories. Tong was an auditor who spent more than half the year traveling for work. She read a lot and widely, with an enormous imagination. Both of them had been through failed marriages. Why are half-ended marriages labeled as failures? After all, many ongoing marital relationships aren't perfect, and seeing a marriage through to the end doesn't necessarily mean it's a success. 3 years ago, Lin Peng sold the house that had given birth to the term ex-husband. The last time she stepped out of that door, she was dragging a small suitcase, pressing the elevator button while telling Tong on the other end of the phone, "I have to sell it. I need to move out immediately right now. Even looking at a single tile or patch of wall in that house makes me sick. Staying here even one more day feels suffocating." At that time, Tong was renting a spacious 2-bedroom apartment by herself. She immediately called out, "Move in with me, help me share the rent." Later, they met Lan Shi and Jia Bao, and it was like they'd known each other forever. Now, the 4 women shared a 4-bedroom apartment. The location was great, the neighborhood had good landscaping, there was a supermarket downstairs, and the metro and bus stops were just outside. Lan Shi and Lin Peng had some savings, while Tong and Jia Bao were less financially secure. In this era of sky-high housing prices, the 4 of them co-owning an apartment made it much easier. They notarized a house-buying agreement at the beginning of their cohabitation. Besides that, there were no strict rules in their lives. They cooked when they had time, tidied up the common areas, did weekly shopping, and hired a housekeeper for deep cleaning once a week. It was a free, relaxed, and harmonious living arrangement, and they all felt that living together like this until old age wouldn't be a problem. As for men, well, However, on this spring night, Tong and Lin Peng returned from dinner and happened to run into Lan Shi and Jia Bao getting out of the same car at the entrance of their community. The man standing by the car was tall and had an elegant demeanor, matching well with the shiny black SUV. He said goodbye to Lan Shi and Jia Bao, his gaze still lingering on their retreating figures. In the dim light and darkness, it was unclear who his gaze followed. He Tong, having walked past, still turned her head to look. She nudged Lin Peng's hand and asked, "Is that Jia Bao's suitor?" "Who knows," Lin Peng replied. "Life is like a flower. Who wouldn't want a bit of sunshine and rain? Do you want that too?" "Yes. I'm just afraid the rain will be acid rain, and the sun will be toxic." Lin Peng withdrew her hand and scolded, "Your mouth. Don't talk nonsense, or you'll make everyone unhappy." That year, He Tong and Lin Peng were 30 years old. Jia Bao was 26 and Lan Shi, the eldest of the four, was 35. 3 years ago, Lan Shi's husband passed away due to illness. Now she runs a clothing company on her own, selling through e-commerce channels, appearing on camera to promote products, with Jia Bao working part-time as her exclusive model. Each of the four women carried their own experiences and heartbreaks. If anyone among them was most likely to be moved by romance, it would probably be Jia Bao, given her younger age and lack of marriage experience. On the other hand, the one with the steeliest heart was likely Lan Shi. On that bright spring night, this was how He Tong felt. One has to admit, there are always varying degrees of closeness in human relationships. Even among three people walking together, a careful observer might notice that two of them tend to walk a bit closer to each other. Among the housemates, He Tong always felt that she was closest to Lin Peng. However, even if she meticulously recounted her past and emotional journey to Lin Peng 100 times, she would never get Lin Peng to open up in return. He Tong never knew why Lin Peng got divorced, and the less she knew, the more her curiosity gnawed at her. Lin Peng's ex-husband was in the medical equipment business, a sharp and handsome man. When Lin Peng spoke of his misdeeds, she only had a word: disgusting. He Tong, with her wild imagination, made countless guesses, each one making her more curious about the truth. As for He Tong, she never shied away from talking about her own marriage experience. Her ex-husband's surname was Zhao, and she referred to him as Zhao Dog or simply Zhao. More than 3 years ago, one night, she was lying on the man's lap, browsing Taobao, and came across a bright red lipstick she liked. She rolled her head on his thigh, coquettishly saying, "Buy this for me." The man didn't respond, half leaning against the headboard, engrossed in his phone. He Tong's hand roamed restlessly, and she mumbled, "Will you buy it for me or not?" The man freed one hand to hold her wandering hand, dismissively saying, Sure, I'll buy it." He Tong scrutinized his face, detecting a faint, strange smile at the corner of his mouth. She swiftly grabbed his phone. "Then I'll use your phone to place the order right now." The man urgently tried to snatch his phone back, almost twisting He Tong's neck in the process. It was just a lipstick worth over 200 yuan. His reaction was clearly excessive. He Tong, now even more determined, refused to return the phone. She sat up, arms crossed, clutching the phone tightly under her arm, and asked, "Are you flirting?" The man tried to use anger to assert his innocence, glaring and accusing her, "Nonsense." The couple sat on the bed, staring each other down for a long time. The man's attitude softened. "Give me the phone, be good." He Tong glanced at the darkened screen and asked, "What's the password?" The man refused to tell. He stood up, trying to reclaim the phone, but He Tong resisted, grappling and kicking him. One kick landed on his lower abdomen, enraging him. He grabbed her shoulders and punched her. The disparity in strength between men and women was evident. He thought he hadn't used much force, but He Tong felt the punch was heavy. The phone fell to the floor, and neither of them picked it up. The contents were no longer important. He Tong jumped off the bed. The ceramic knife she had recently used to cut fruit glinted on the bedside table. Somehow, she grabbed it, her arm extended, pointing the knife at her husband. Her hand trembled like the last leaf in late autumn. She knew she didn't have the strength or courage to stab, and he knew it too. He twisted her wrist, and the ceramic knife fell to the floor. Her husband began to soothe her. However, his tenderness only stirred up more resentment and unease in her. She pushed him away, picked up the phone from the floor. She had to know why that punch had landed on her. This time, he unlocked the phone willingly, repeatedly assuring her, "There's really nothing, believe me." The phone screen was still on the WeChat Moments page. In the picture, a strange woman with big eyes and a sharp chin held a small puppy. The puppy's ears were slightly curled, just exposing the cleavage in front of the woman's chest. The caption read, "Announcing the new member, cute, right?" Below was a comment from Zhao, "Not as cute as you, far from it." The woman replied, "You naughty boy," followed by 3 shy emoji. He Tong scoured her husband's phone. Maybe there really wasn't anything more serious, or maybe he had cleaned up well. In any case, that night ended relatively peacefully with a Cold War. Divorce didn't happen overnight, but trust had crumbled and suspicion and imagination took root, undermining the foundation of their marriage. After that, they endured awkwardness and cold wars. Interrogations and phone checks became routine. Even though nothing incriminating was found, each search ended in a fierce argument. She would curse him, accusing him of achieving both physical and psychological pleasure from short videos and WeChat moments. He, filled with pent-up anger, would kick the cabinet or slam doors. They were both tired and frustrated. Continuing to hold on had lost its meaning. On the last night before the divorce, her husband knelt before her. He slapped himself, begging for forgiveness, but He Tong was resolute. She said, "First, you shouldn't have flirted with other women. Second, you shouldn't have hit me. Third, are your knees really that weak?" After completing the divorce procedures, standing outside the civil affairs office, He Tong asked him, "Did you ever cheat on me?" "No." The man, now her ex-husband, looked into He Tong's eyes, his gaze tired yet tender. He said, "Our marriage lasted only 7 months and 3 days. I overstepped boundaries and hurt you. Tong, I know I was wrong. I'm sorry." He Tong's gaze drifted over his pale blue chin. A familiar touch seemed to brush her heart, stirring a pang of pain. Her eyes reddened instantly, and she said, "I don't forgive you." Among the 4 women, Jiabao is the youngest, yet her life experiences are far from simple. At 18, Jiabao moved to the city with her boyfriend. Her mother had passed away early, and her father only provided her with tuition and living expenses, without much other involvement in her life. Jiabao attended a mediocre university, known for its high fees rather than its academic quality, making her increasingly frustrated with her studies. Jiabao and her boyfriend used to meet every week, traversing the city, which was exhausting and time-consuming. Eventually, she rented an apartment near his school, which increased her expenses significantly, prompting her to drop out and look for a job. Jiabao, her online name, became her primary identity as everyone called her that, and it soon felt more like her real name. She was attractive and smart, making it relatively easy for her to find jobs despite her limited education and experience. She worked as a hostess at a restaurant, a cashier at a supermarket, sold mobile phones, cakes, and wedding dresses, and now she works as a jewelry store clerk and occasionally models for Launchi's clothing brand. At 22, with her boyfriend about to graduate and needing money for various expenses, Jiabao became his financial support. Back then, she was young and couldn't see through many things, putting her whole heart into him. Due to her own family's emotional shortcomings, even a little affection made her feel fulfilled. Jiabao felt like a happy little housewife, thinking that as long as she maintained that bit of happiness, she could spin joyfully, like a top for decades. One time, her boyfriend brought 2 classmates home for dinner. After bustling around for a while, Jiabao wiped her hands on her apron and told her boyfriend to watch the stove as it was simmering soup. She quickly ran downstairs to buy some side dishes and a pack of beer. When she climbed back up to the 4th floor, she overheard her boyfriend's voice through the half-open door, saying, "She's not very educated, and she's quite simple-minded. She might only ever work as a sales clerk. Sure, she's pretty, but after being together for a while, it gets old." Although it wasn't the first time he'd made such remarks in private, it was cruel and accurate upon reflection. No matter her flaws, did he have to strip her dignity in front of others? Jiabao felt a surge of bitterness, but calmed herself before entering with a smile. Her boyfriend didn't get up to help, but his classmates did, taking the items from her hands. Young wounds heal too easily with sweet words and physical intimacy. Even when tears filled her eyes, a few kind words and tender kisses from him could make her forgive. Another time, Jiabao received a bonus and rushed to the supermarket after work, buying her boyfriend's favorite ribs and durian. Climbing the stairs, she was pricked several times by the durian's rough spines. That night, her boyfriend didn't come home for dinner, nor the next day. To make matters worse, the refrigerator broke down, and by the time he returned, a puddle of water had formed underneath it. Upon opening the fridge, the stench of durian and spoiled ribs hit them both. At that moment, Jiabao was at work, helping a lady try on a diamond ring. Her phone buzzed repeatedly with texts from her boyfriend, questioning, "Why did you buy so much? Didn't you notice the fridge was broken? The kitchen stinks like a sewer. I have to go out again, so you clean it up when you get back." Jiabao stood straight at the counter, her professional smile never wavering. Later, she took out a thin gold ring from the display and snapped a photo to send to her boyfriend, saying, "Tomorrow is our 4th anniversary. Will you buy this for me?" After 10 minutes without a reply, Jiabao sent another message. "We're breaking up. Pack your things and take them within 24 hours, or they'll end up in the trash." Later, when Jiabao recounted this to Lanshi asked, 10 minutes is too short. What if he simply hadn't seen the message yet? That's quite possible. Jiabao smiled and said, "I knew he looked down on me. The world outside is so exciting, and I'm not good enough, yet I was clinging to him. Those two things together make me feel cheap." After breaking up with her first boyfriend, Jiabao became a bit wiser, though perhaps only to a limited extent. A man in his 30s with gold-rimmed glasses bought a diamond necklace from Jiabao, supposedly as a gift for his mother. The next day, he returned and bought another one Jiabao had previously recommended, saying, "Personally, I prefer this one. It's not overly luxurious, but elegant and refined." The man began to court Jiabao, claiming to be single. He was meticulous in his care, using his experience to understand her completely. He called her "my little girl," cared for her daily needs with tenderness and indulgence, much like a father figure. He was entirely different from her ex-boyfriend, and Jiabao found herself moved by him. 3 months later, Jiabao became his girlfriend. Despite his monthly disappearances, she never seriously questioned him, treating it as routine, much like keeping track of her menstrual cycle. One night, a video call on WeChat rang loudly and persistently. The man with glasses reached out from under the covers, his bare arm grabbing the phone on the bedside table, but it was dark and silent. He then realized it was the other phone in his briefcase that he had forgotten to turn off. His demeanor collapsed. He became visibly panicked and flustered, losing all his usual composure. The video call invitation rang again and again. Jiabao put on her pajamas and went to the bathroom. The various signs clicked together in her mind, and she finally understood that he wasn't worthy of the title, boyfriend. He was a liar, a scoundrel, a greedy ghost. When Jiabao returned to the bedroom, the video call in the living room had ended. Facing Jiabao's questioning, the man stopped hiding. He wasn't single. He had a family of 4 in a neighboring city. During the time he was pursuing Jiabao, his wife had given birth to their second child. Jiabao trembled with anger, but couldn't utter a word. After a moment of silence, she spat in his face. The man was shocked and furious. He threw his lit cigarette at her, cursing, "You're too stupid, you slut." Jiabao suddenly realized that this man wasn't attractive at all. What had she ever seen in him? His eyes were small, his nose broad and flat, his forehead oily and shining under the light. Had she lost her mind to fall for him? The man twisted Jiabao's wrist and pinned her to the bed. He held her hands with one of his while the other started tearing at her clothes. Jiabao screamed, desperately, and he covered her mouth. She felt herself suffocating and stopped struggling, looking at him pitifully, letting out soft whimpers like a wounded puppy through his fingers. He let go of her, pinching her cheeks. I really like you. If you behave, I won't treat you badly." Jiabao gasped for air, her mind racing as she searched for a way out. Luck was on her side. The room smelled of smoke, and her heavy breathing turned into violent coughing fits, as if she was about to cough up her lungs. The man noticed it too. He smelled the smoke. He released her and stood up, looking for the source. It was the cigarette he had thrown. It had ignited the edge of the bedsheet, dragging on the floor, with small flames licking up and smoke rising. Cursing, he ran to the bathroom to get water to put out the fire. Jiabao leaped up, grabbed her phone, and dashed out of the room, dialing a number as she ran. She shouted, "Lanshi, help me." 40 minutes later, Jiabao, hiding in the shadows of a street corner, saw Lanshi's small delivery truck speeding towards her like a hero in a rescue mission. Jiabao's tears streamed down uncontrollably. In the beginning, Jiabao met Lanshi at the entrance of a small Chinese medicine hospital. She had gone to visit a hospitalized friend and, upon leaving, saw Lanshi sitting on the steps, crying. At that moment, the setting sun cast a long red glow across the sky, reflecting off the building's walls and scattering light on the ground. It was already summer, yet Lanshi wore a good quality, but somewhat heavy coat and a pair of casual shoes with the backs flattened from wear. She hugged her legs, face buried in her knees, her hair tousled by the wind. For some reason, even after Jiabao had walked a short distance away, she couldn't help but turn back. Jiabao squatted down beside Lanshi and asked, "What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell?" Lanshi lifted her tear-streaked face and said, "It's not me. It's my husband. He's dying. I heard there's an old doctor here with a special remedy, but I found out the doctor is no longer here. You see, life is so fragile. It's so unfair. My husband, he's the best man in the world." Over the next 3 years, Lanshi repeated this sentiment many times, always saying her husband was the best man in the world. The man, named Qiolin, only lived to be 32. Diagnosed with stomach cancer, he survived for just a year and 3 months after the diagnosis. During that time, Lanshi took him everywhere seeking medical help, from Western medicine to traditional Chinese medicine, from renowned doctors to obscure remedies. She watched as her husband grew weaker by the day. In the dead of night, when the pain became unbearable, he bit his lips to stifle his groans, his body under the covers growing thinner, as light as a leaf. Lanshi, in desperation, turned to prayer, visiting temples and bowing to every Buddha she encountered. She knelt before the idols, deeply kowtowing, muttering repeatedly, "Take half my life and give it to him. I fear neither hardship nor poverty. I need nothing if only you return him to me." It was their 6th year of marriage. At his bedside, Lanshi held his hand tightly. Whenever she had a moment, she sat by his side, clutching his hand. She asked him, "How can you be so heartless? Get better quickly, or how will I live alone? Honey, if only we had a child. I regret it so much. What was I busy with all the time? What for?" Her husband looked at her, a faint smile forming on his lips. "We were so poor before. How could we afford to raise a child?" His voice was soft. "After I'm gone, you must be open-minded and take good care of yourself, okay?" Lanshi held back her tears but couldn't help but cry out, I don't know what to do." As time went on, he said such things more and more often. On sleepless nights, he called to her, "Honey, come here." He didn't even have the strength to hold her. He said, "If I had known I'd live such a short life, I wouldn't have married you in the first place." He said, "Lanshi, I'm sorry." He mumbled, "Death is just death. Those who live must live well, remember? You can't earn all the money in the world. Enough is enough, okay? You're still young, beautiful, smart, and kind-hearted. Someone will surely love you sincerely. When that time comes, forget about me and live well, all right?" Lanshi hugged his neck and asked, "Can you bear to see me with someone else?" "I can't, but what can I do?" he said weakly with a smile. "Don't cry. Lanshi, in the next life, let's be husband and wife again, okay?" She buried her face in his shoulder, trying to hold back her sobs, and answered, "Okay." A few years back, Lanshi ran a small clothing shop and Qiolin worked as a liquor salesperson. The two often crossed paths on the same street, and whenever they met, both would blush. Lanchi was skillful and had a knack for socializing. Sometimes, she would sketch out a design and sew a dress herself. When she wore it, people would inquire about it. So, she tried making a few more and hanging them in her shop, and they sold well. Gradually, she couldn't keep up with the demand by herself, so she hired a tailor to help. When they got married, they pooled their savings, barely enough for a down payment on a house. But Xiaolin said, "The house can wait. I want to take you somewhere first." Xiaolin, always traveling in and out of the city for his sales job, had found a place for their startup. Their combined savings were only enough to get started. Were they afraid of the risks? Of course. What Xiaolin reassured her, "Don't worry if we lose the money. I can drive a taxi or carry rice sacks. I'll make sure to take care of you." With determination, they quickly set up the factory. They moved in about a dozen machines, hired workers and a designer, and Lanchi's small clothing factory was up and running. They invested all their money into the business, living and working in the factory. Their office was next to the workshop, separated by a curtain to create a bedroom. Starting a business wasn't easy. They dealt with unsold inventory, quality issues, and unscrupulous clients. Slowly but surely, the business improved, and they expanded the factory, upgraded their equipment, and rebranded it as Lanchi Apparel Company, Ltd. They bought a new house, and Xiaolin meticulously planned its decoration, envisioning a display shelf here, a few potted plants there, a solid wood dining table, and a round coffee table. Life was bustling with activity, but then he suddenly fell ill. In hindsight, it wasn't so sudden. He had felt unwell at times, but was so focused on work that he ignored his symptoms. He never complained about feeling tired or in pain. His parents had divorced when he was young, each starting new families, leaving him to be raised by his elderly grandmother. When she passed away during his high school years, he dropped out to work. He lived a life of frugality and discipline, generous and open-hearted, never indulging in luxury even when they could afford it. Such a man, Lanchi charged forward, only to realize too late that he was no longer beside her, leaving her with nothing but regret and heartache. Lanchi was devastated. She spent sleepless nights, lighting one of the few cigarettes he left behind, taking hours to finish just one, staring blankly at the smoke rising slowly. The familiar smell made her feel like he was still there, not far away. Eventually, even those cigarettes were gone. But they had their business, their child. Lanchi resolved to take care of it on her own. She thought no one could ever replace her husband. She believed she would live the rest of her life alone. When she wasn't working, she felt truly empty. To prevent her from feeling lonely, Jiabao, Lin Peng, and He Tong took turns keeping her company, eating meals together, shopping, asking for her opinion on even the smallest purchases. Later, when He Tong and Lin Peng's landlord suddenly terminated their lease, they scrambled to find new housing. Lanchi suggested they buy a place together, live together, support each other. The four of them agreed enthusiastically, discussing excitedly into the early hours of the morning before collapsing on beds and sofas, falling into a deep sleep. Standing at the entrance of the community, holding onto the car door, the man's name was Zheng Yanzhou. The first time He Tong and Lin Peng saw him, they thought he was pursuing Jiabao. Walking along the path, He Tong caught up with Lanchi and Jiabao, and the four of them walked home arm in arm. He Tong couldn't help but ask when they were alone, pulling Jiabao close. "Who's that guy?" "Someone new." "Is he handsome?" Jiabao chuckled. "He's a business partner of Lanchi Apparel, just an acquaintance." Lanchi remained silent, supporting Lin Peng's shoulder, engrossed in her phone, swaying but naturally exuding a mature charm. She was like a ripe fruit on a tree, full and juicy, ready to burst with just a touch. At night, the women sat on the terrace, chatting. Stars blinked in the sky, and the moonlight bathed the earth. They lounged in their pajamas, barefoot, lazily conversing. The flowing lights cast a picturesque scene on the terrace, like something out of an advertisement. He Tong teased Jiabao, asking if she would still come home if she had a boyfriend. Jiabao lazily swirled her wine glass. "Of course. This is my home, my fortress, my sanctuary." He Tong was curious about Zheng Yanzhou, but Jiabao refused to say more. Lan Shi, standing up in her robe, smiled and said, Tong Tong, why not ask me? Do you think he wouldn't be interested in me? He Tong felt awkward, but more surprised. That's not it. I thought you wouldn't easily be attracted to anyone again. Lin Peng's gaze shifted from the window to Lan Shi. Lan Shi already had her own clothing brand, streaming live 3 times a week. Whenever she went live, her audience numbers soared. She exuded just the right amount of warmth and sincerity. Wealthy, beautiful, successful, men were naturally drawn to her. Lin Peng felt that even if Zheng Yanzhou were 31 instead of 21, falling in love with Lan Shi wouldn't be impossible. Lan Shi bent down to pour herself a glass of wine but didn't drink it. Instead, she lit another cigarette. She didn't really have a smoking habit but always lit up when feeling troubled. She asked, if I were to fall for someone, would you think less of me? Lin Peng reached over, flicking the cigarette into a wine glass on the table. The cigarette sizzled as it hit the liquid at the bottom of the glass. You already have, Lan Shi. Otherwise, why would he show up at the community gate? Lan Shi laughed. Stop it, Lin Peng. You're too clever. Lin Peng smiled, but there was a hint of sorrow in her eyes. She said, I'm not clever. You know, I'm the biggest fool in the world. Lan Shi knew what she was thinking and reached out to touch her hair. Stop drinking, Peng Peng. You still have work tomorrow. Just one more sip. Lin Peng poured herself another glass of wine. I've seen careless and heartless men in the gynecology department. I've also seen caring and gentle ones. They all exist. I've often been moved by some people's deep affection. Their actions and emotions are genuine. While I can't say it lasts forever, at least in that moment, I don't doubt their love and sincerity. Yeah, women are the same. I've never forgotten Qiulin, but if one day I truly fall for someone else, I'll forgive myself, and I hope Qiulin in heaven will forgive me too. Lan Shi spoke, rubbing Lin Peng's hair again. Peng Peng, even with me like this, still believing in love and believing that there are still many good men around us. Don't be afraid just because you stepped on dog poop accidentally, thinking that the whole road is covered in it. Listening to Lan Shi's words, it seemed she understood something about Lin Peng's past. This insight made He Tong angry. She had been talkative before but now seemed to be speaking without restraint. She looked at Lan Shi and said, Of course you believe. But have you ever thought that if Qiulin were still alive, you two would live together for another 3 to 5 years? By then, he wouldn't be so busy, and he'd have more money. With a bunch of beautiful girls around him, all vying for his attention, how would you feel then? Lin Peng interrupted, Tong Tong. She didn't stop, and her anger grew. This is the truth. What's wrong with saying it? Lan Shi, have you ever thought that even if Qiulin worshipped you like a goddess every day, you dare to say you'd love him forever? I'm afraid compared to someone like Zheng Yanzhou, he would pale in comparison. Shut up. Lan Shi interrupted her. He Tong, what nonsense are you spouting? Why are you so smart about everything? Are you the wisest person on earth? He Tong calmed down a bit and stood up. Lan Shi, maybe I said too much, but I'm just looking out for you. Have you forgotten how hard it was for you back then? And now, what's changed? Have you forgotten the pain once you've healed? Why are you thinking of jumping back into the pit at the slightest obstacle? You are the one who suggested the 4 of us live together. Why are you the first to betray that? Lin Peng embraced her and pulled her towards the room. You've had too much to drink, Tong Tong. It's not like that. Just calm down. He Tong shook off her hand. Lin Peng, you're a traitor too. We've known each other for over 10 years. Do you even consider me a friend? I know why you're saying this. Lin Peng spoke slowly. Tong Tong, you've always wanted to know about my past, but I feel that even as sisters or close friends, we don't necessarily have to share our sorrows. The wounds in my heart, I don't want to expose them to anyone. I can't stop the rumors outside, but I can find ways to shut myself up. Seeing the situation getting out of hand, Jiabao, who had been silent, jumped up. She usually spoke softly, and even when trying to mediate, she sounded like she was coaxing. All right, if you want to date, date. If you want to drink and eat meat, then drink and eat meat. Our home isn't a nunnery. We don't need to follow any strict rules. As for men, today we dare to say we love them. Tomorrow we'll have the confidence to change them, don't you think? Her words amused Lanshi, and she replied, "That's called a nunnery. Monks live in temples." Lin Peng waved her hand. "Let's call it a night. Time to wash up and sleep." He Tong left for a business trip without saying goodbye. Around 7 in the evening, Jiabao called her, asking, "Tong Tong, why haven't you come back yet?" Before He Tong could reply, Lanshi's voice came through the phone. "Tong Tong, I made your favorite sweet and sour duck. When are you coming home?" He Tong snorted. "I'm on a business trip, working overtime intentionally. You're deliberately tempting me. I hate you guys." A few days later, when He Tong returned from her business trip, she bought each of them a floral skirt. However, Lanshi rejected it, saying, "Are you crazy? We make clothes at home, and you still want to buy from outside." He Tong immediately retorted, "We still have a kitchen at home. Why are you always thinking about eating out?" Jiabao chuckled as she picked up the new skirt. "Tong Tong is right. I like this style. I'm going to try it on now." Lin Peng was stretching on the balcony's yoga mat, ignoring the lively scene in the living room. He Tong walked over and took off her earphones, smiling. "Still mad?" Lin Peng glanced at her. "Who said I'm mad? You were always talkative in high school. I've gotten used to it." He Tong was both angry and amused. "Who are you talking about?" Their little disagreement soon passed like a storm, and the sky cleared again. On the surface, Lin Peng seemed rational and calm, but in reality, her heart was filled with deep emotions. Lin Peng's ex-husband worked for a medical service company undergoing internal reforms. They hired a third-party audit firm, and He Tong happened to be part of the auditing team. Lin Peng's ex-husband, surnamed Gu, held the position of Regional Sales Director, often referred to as Director Gu. He Tong had seen him before but didn't know him well. On the 4th day of the audit work, He Tong quietly told Lin Peng, "There's a lot of internal corruption among their management. This time, Director Gu might be in trouble." Lin Peng remained silent for a while before saying, "He's too eager for quick success and instant benefits. But whatever happens to him, it's none of my concern. Tong Tong, just pretend you don't know him. Do what you need to do and don't let it affect you." He Tong looked at her for a long time before asking softly, "Do you still love him?" Lin Peng burst into tears and finally opened up about her past. 3 years ago, Director Gu was still Xiao Gu. One night, his female superior was rushed to the emergency room due to unbearable abdominal pain, and the diagnosis was a ruptured corpus luteum caused by vigorous activity. There are many reasons for corpus luteum rupture, but the cause of it happening at night often only has one explanation. That night, Xiao Gu panicked and claimed to be working overtime, staying by his female superior's side. Xiao Gu cleverly avoided the hospital where Lin Peng worked, but unfortunately, the attending doctor happened to be Lin Peng's senior sister and also her former colleague before she switched jobs. During that time, rumors spread like wildfire where Lin Peng couldn't see or hear them. Xiao Gu continued to play the role of a good husband in front of her, picking her up after work, sending her flowers, and discussing plans for conceiving. Since getting married, Lin Peng had never used contraception, but the little angel never arrived. Informed classmates and colleagues whispered and joked, saying that Xiao Gu had sown his seeds elsewhere. They thought Xiao Gu was shameless. So everyone looked at Lin Peng with pity and sympathy. Even colleagues who had normal relationships with her expressed goodwill towards her, letting their eyes linger on her, leaving Lin Peng confused, wondering if she was unkempt. The truth was revealed by Lin Peng's teacher. Her teacher had always valued and cared for her, and although she could criticize her professionally, she found it difficult to speak at this time. Eventually, she pointed Lin Peng to ask her senior sister. Proud Lin Peng's self-esteem shattered. After learning the truth, the first thing she did was to undergo a full-body examination, the second was to file for divorce, and the third was to submit her resignation. Xiao Gu didn't ask for anything from their house and savings. He packed his things and left in his car. Lin Peng was also straightforward, quickly selling the house and transferring the savings to a new account. 3 years of dating, 2 years of marriage, and it all ended in just 3 days. From then on, she disappeared from the world. However, whether it ended too quickly or not, Lin Peng often had illusions afterward. Sometimes she felt like the first 5 years were a dream, and sometimes she felt like the last 3 days were an illusion. But the undeniable fact was that she always dreamed of him. He smiled brightly on the university campus, sweated profusely on the sports field, held her hand and put it in his coat pocket, stood under the spring flower tree waiting for her, stood under the floral arch at their wedding, and said, "Peng Peng, I love you." Sweet love stories are often similar, but the hearts of those who betray vary. The past is hard to mention again, the heart shattered, and it cannot be picked up again. When Lan Shi's feelings started to waver, his pursuit became more open. Lin Peng said to He Tong, "In Lan Shi's heart, there is the fervor and innocence we have already lost. Apart from the unfairness of fate, she has never been hurt by love. Her heart is full of love. Only those who have experienced marital happiness long for marriage, right? Tong Tong, if one day you are ignited by such passion by someone, I won't admonish you or blame you. I will only tell you to do what you want to do. Fight for what you want, even if it hurts, scares you, or you regret it. You can always come back to our safe haven, to our fortress. That's the meaning of home, isn't it?" He Tong nodded repeatedly, leaning her head on Lin Peng's shoulder. Suddenly, she whispered, "He came to see me." Lin Peng didn't react at first. "Who?" He Tong smiled, revealing a hint of pink gums, looking innocent. She said, "Who else could it be?" "Xiao Go." Lin Peng didn't say anything. The two leaned against each other, gently swaying, watching the slowly moving shadows on the floor. Zheng Yanzhou had a cat, white and soft like a sticky rice ball. He brought the white cat to Lan Shi's office and asked her, "I'll be on a business trip for a few days. Can you take care of my cat?" Lan Shi didn't even lift her head. "No." Zheng Yanzhou smiled and sat on her desk, placing the kitten in front of her. "Really? Can't you?" Lan Shi didn't answer. Zheng Yanzhou smiled again and asked, "Then can you pick me up at the airport on Saturday night when I return?" Lan Shi raised her eyes, unable to help but smile. "Why are you so shameless?" Being shameless didn't bother Zheng Yanzhou. He continued to ask, "Taking care of the cat or picking me up, choose one." "Taking care of the cat." Zheng Yanzhou's eyes showed a triumphant smile, earning a roll of Lan Shi's eyes. He put the white cat into Lan Shi's arms, but unfortunately, the cat seemed hostile towards her and scratched her collarbone when it couldn't break free. Lan Shi was startled and let go with a cry. Outside the office, someone was about to knock on the door. Jiabao came from behind and stopped them. "If it's not urgent, wait a while before you come in." When time is tight and work is busy, Lan Shi often spends the whole day in the workshop. She doesn't wear makeup, wears work clothes and flat shoes, and even gets hands on herself. She still retains the essence of the working class. Her skin is still in good condition, with clear and firm eyes, but there are already irreversible fine lines at the corners of her eyes. Zheng Yanzhou felt that Lan Shi, simple and brave, was real and fragile, which made people's hearts move and cherish. He wasn't a man without stories. He understood what love and marriage meant. If love could be carefree, marriage was full of details. On the 3rd anniversary of Qiulin's death, when Lan Shi came out of the cemetery, Zheng Yanzhou was waiting by the roadside. They remained silent until the car was parked. Then he asked softly, "Are you okay?" Lan Shi looked up at the row of window-like patterns upstairs, where she and Qiulin had their home. She asked, "Can you wait for me for a while? I need to go upstairs and pack some things. Do you need help?" "No." After a while, Lan Shi said with red eyes, "I plan to sell this house. We didn't live here for many days, and now there's nothing left. I don't mind." After a while, Zheng Yanzhou said softly, "I don't mind if you keep a place for him in your heart." Lan Shi, I've never known how to tell you this. If you are willing to trust me, I won't let you down. In the past 2 years, I've had a lot on my mind. Can you give me a chance to talk to you about it? Wait for me for a while. Lan Shi's words seemed to have a double meaning, Wait for me to pack up and close this door." Once Lan Shi and Jin Yanzhou's relationship officially began, it seemed to have a certain unstoppable momentum. Lan Shi was already busy, and now she spent days without returning home. During the day, when Lin Peng found a moment, she called Lan Shi. As soon as the call connected, Lan Shi laughed. "Peng Ting miss me?" Lin Peng also chuckled. "Yeah, but as soon as I hear your voice, I stop missing you." "Why?" "Because I feel like you're doing well." "Indeed, I am." "Lan Shi, wait for me a moment." Someone entered the office, and Lin Peng planned to have a private chat with her, so she got up and went to the terrace, casually closing the glass door. In the second month of Lan Shi and Zhang Yanzhou being together, Zhang Yanzhou proposed. Looking at the stone on the ring, Lan Shi was somewhat shocked. So big. Zhang Yanzhou laughed heartily, and Lan Shi slapped him, saying, "You're too impulsive, aren't you?" He laughed again. "Just a few days ago, we won the Young Practitioner Award together. Can't I be a little practical? Trust me, I have good judgment, decent action, and not bad luck." It must be said, he was sunny and vigorous, very infectious, always making Lan Shi feel relaxed and happy. She began to rely on him. Lan Shi looked at the diamond ring. Of course, she had the ability to pamper herself, and she could afford jewelry even more precious than this ring, but its significance was different. Zhang Yanzhou took her hand. "Looks good, right? Let me put it on for you." The ring size was just right, and just as Lan Shi was about to be surprised, Zhang Yanzhou said, "It's not difficult. When you were sleeping, I measured your finger with cotton thread, as Jiabao taught me." Speaking of Jiabao, Lan Shi naturally thought of Lin Peng and He Tong, and couldn't help but feel warm inside. She hugged Zhang Yanzhou and said, "I used to think I had bad luck, but now I realize I have so much, and it's all so good." The news of Lan Shi's impending remarriage quickly spread in the company. Subsequently, the parents of Qiu Lin, who had secretly been keeping an eye on her, also found out. This long-divorced couple suddenly found common ground, bringing along their new spouses and the children born after their remarriage, and were surrounded by a group of relatives who were eager to see the excitement. They stood together in the courtyard of Lan Shi Fashion, loudly proclaiming their intention to claim half of the company's assets if Lan Shi remarried. In Qiu Lin's will, arrangements had been made for his parents, which Lan Shi had already complied with. She remembered vividly that when Qiu Lin was bedridden for more than a year, his mother visited him 3 times, while his father only came twice. As for his younger brother and sister, their contact information wasn't even in his phone. Lan Shi was sad for Qiu Lin, angry for him, and the wounds that had barely healed were torn open again. She pulled out a cigarette from the pack, but after searching the desk and drawers, she couldn't find a lighter. With a bang, she slammed the drawer shut and stormed out of the door. Little did Lan Shi know, as soon as this group of people barged in, Jiabao's phone started ringing, and by now, He Tong and Lin Peng were almost there. On the way, He Tong called her ex-husband for support, while Lin Peng called a lawyer friend who promised to arrive immediately. After everyone gathered, they realized that He Tong's ex-husband had brought 2 close friends, while the lawyer friend had also brought his police friend. The group came from various professions, truly a blend of brains and brawn. When Zhang Yanzhou arrived, the group was still arguing loudly. He wanted to rush in, but was stopped by Jiabao and an office director. Jiabao said, "It's not appropriate for you to go in. Besides, we called you here to show support, not to start a fight." Rather than involving the police, Lan Shi would prefer to handle this herself. Let's see how the situation unfolds. Standing among Qiu's relatives and friends, Lan Shi felt the irony and couldn't help but sneer. Qiu Lin has been dead for more than 3 years. Many of you, I'm meeting for the first time. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Since you're all here today, let me tell you about 16-year-old Qiu Lin who dropped out of school and left home, how we got married, how he spent his final days, and how Lan Shi Fashion was established. After I finish speaking, I hope you can still stand tall like you are now. After Lan Shi spoke, He Tong and Lin Peng knew that even if they hadn't come, Lan Shi could handle the situation herself. But without a doubt, they were her solid support. Lan Shi spoke firmly, leaving no room for interruption. She said, "Today, I acknowledge you as Qiulin's relatives, and I hope we can all be polite. Lanshi fashion is my life, and anyone who wants to interfere with it, I'll fight them to the end. Try me." Lanshi was so engrossed in her speech that she didn't notice when He Tong and Lin Peng stood by her side. When she finally realized, she instinctively looked for Jiabao. Jiabao was standing on the outskirts of the crowd, giving her a thumbs up. She also saw Zheng Yanzhou, who was standing in the middle of the crowd, watching her intently. He kept his gaze on her. Later, she smiled, and he smiled along with her. After the crowd dispersed, Jiabao was the first to rush up and hug Lanshi, leaving Zheng Yanzhou feeling a bit awkward. Jiabao, both admiring and worried, gently patted Lanshi's back and asked repeatedly, "Sis, you're amazing." "Sis, did they anger you?" Lanshi let out a sigh of relief and chuckled. "Don't worry. Do you think your sis is easy to bully?" When the door closed and Lanshi was alone with Zheng Yanzhou, her voice softened. "They really got on my nerves." That night, Zheng Yanzhou hosted a banquet. During the feast, He Tong said, "Sis Lanshi, the atmosphere is already set. If you two don't hurry up and get married, it would disappoint the audience." Lanshi smiled. Tong, seems like the one who's least willing to see me get married is you." "Yeah, I'm not willing." He Tong hugged her and raised her glass to Zheng Yanzhou. "How about lending Sis Lanshi to us for 2 days every month from now on?" No one heard Zheng Yanzhou's response because Lin Peng chimed in, saying, "Sis Lanshi, you have to come home with us tonight." "You, this guy who prioritizes love over friendship, how many days has it been since you've been home?" Laughter erupted, and Jiabao laughed until she coughed. "Sis Peng, drink less." "Can you say that in front of so many people?" Lanshi smiled as she watched them joke around and whispered to Zheng Yanzhou beside her, "Jiabao is young, but she's the most understanding. He Tong is always straightforward. She's the most genuine. Lin Peng is the smartest and most composed, but she always gets drunk after a little bit of alcohol." As the night grew late, the banquet dispersed. No one knew which round it was, but the 4 women walked home arm in arm. He Tong suggested, "Shall we sing a song?" "We can't sing. It's disturbing the peace in the middle of the night." Lin Peng protested loudly, almost tripping over her own feet, but Lanshi supported her, preventing her from falling. Lin Peng turned to He Tong and asked, Tong, are you planning to reconcile with someone surnamed Zhao?" He Tong laughed, but then sighed. "Do you think we can reconcile?" "I don't know. But Tong, it's hard for divorced couples to be friends. If you can't let go, either forgive each other and stay together, or separate decisively without pulling each other down, which would hurt both parties." "I know," He Tong said softly. "It's impossible. Every time I think about those things, I feel uneasy. Maybe we need to forgive each other first before we can gradually drift apart." The night breeze was gentle. The leaves rustled softly, accompanied by a faint floral scent. Lanshi said, "Who knows what the future holds? But we'll always be together. We're sisters, we're family." "Exactly," Lin Peng agreed. "I think I'll stay here and wait for you to come home." Lanshi gently patted her back. Peng, forget about it. It's like throwing away a dead rat. Just throw it far away." Lin Peng looked up and smiled, a rare sense of liberation in her expression. "It's almost time. Sis Lanshi, when I saw you talking head-to-head with Zheng Yanzhou today, I felt really good." Jiabao, who had been silent, finally spoke. She said, "I used to think that a life without love was incomplete. Later, I finally understood that we have our own world, our own mountains and rivers, and men are just moonlight and starlight. With them or without them, we are beautiful on our own. Yeah, do what you want. Chase what you desire. We have the confidence, we're not afraid, and we have no regrets. Indeed, life is long, and who knows what the future holds. Life flows like a river, encountering flowers and enjoying their fragrance, encountering the sea and admiring its vastness. Even if encountering a cliff, it can still reunite as a waterfall and flow together. My dear, what do you think?"